Okay, guys, welcome to Grue, and thank you so much for taking time and coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for
Thank you
having
for,
us.
yeah, thank you.
Definitely, yes. So, the first I want to start out asking is actually for Josh. You co-wrote and star in the horror film, and how did you first start working with Alex and meet him?
So Alex and I first met in London. I was working in a theater, and we had 10 days where the theater was dark, and which means there was no show on. And I asked the people that run the place if I could make a short horror film, and so I did with loads of the ushers, and it was purely for our sort of show reels. So I made this silly short film that is called Stage Fright, which is on my Instagram with zero money, but you can see it on there. And we just we made this dumb film in the theater, and I was Instagramming about it and talking about it, and Alex reached out, and so we connected and started sharing ideas. And at the same time, I'd got a visa to go and live and work in Canada for 2 years, and I wanted to go to Vancouver. And Alex was like, well, why don't we make something out there and use sort of like the scope and the scale and the scenery of there, and turn that into something. And so we did, and that's how the short film version of the latent image came to be.
Oh, okay. For some reason, it seems like more films and TV are in Canada now than New York and Los Angeles. Like it seems like more stuff gets made in Canada than it does there now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak to that because I am in Canada now, and
Okay.
I'm based in Vancouver, and that's how Josh and I met, and and yeah, it's like really, there's a lot going on up here,
Yeah,
and
definitely is.
it's now that the strike is over, like things are just gonna go wild in the new year. So we're really looking forward to that. Um, yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
So, so Jay, what drew you to the script? Because I mean, I know it started out as a short and now it went
Mhm.
into a main film. What what drew you to the script and playing like a dark role?
I think it was the character. Like, I think it just gave me a lot of freedom to be kind of silly with it in a way. Like, I could go really far with it. You know what I mean? And I think that is what initially drew me to it. Um, and and then getting to know Josh and Alex was some wonderful people, and particularly Josh, our relationship, and it was just so much fun to work together,
Yeah,
and from there it just felt like so natural to be a part of it because it was just fun to be around all of those folks all the time.
Mhm.
it was
So.
nice, and it was I was gonna say it was we met obviously in Vancouver when we were
Yeah.
auditioning actors for the role of the man in the short. And I remember meeting Jay and seeing his tape, as well as sort of meeting him in person and just being like, oh no, this is like the perfect guy. But then when you meet Jay, he's actually sort of the opposite and is really sweet and really lovely. And so what actually that helped with was being really, really comfortable with someone, so then we could go to like all those dark places
Oh
on
yeah.
camera as well. And then it was a no-brainer when we did the feature to sort of have you back, because the sort of relationship was already there.
Mhm. Yeah, I feel the same way.
Nice, nice.
Mhm.
And like that's like another thing I was gonna ask that it's for you both. Is is that anyone who's seen the film or seen the short, like they know you both have really great the chemistry on the screen, and like you both were like drawn to one another in the film. Like you two like each other, but then there's like some trust issues too. And like, how did you bond? Like, how did you get that to that level that is showed on screen?
Yeah, I'd say that we did a lot of joking around,
Yeah,
and that was mainly the thing. Like, remember when we used to say "grat"? Because like,
grat. That's grat.
we were,
It would just be like really like dumb things.
yeah.
But I think our humor like matched straight away.
Hmm.
And so when we weren't doing any serious stuff, we'd just be like goofing around and being silly. And
Hmm.
you know, obviously me being a Brit, I'd always put on like really over the top like American accent and be like,
I love that.
yeah,
I
that's
love it when
grat. That's
yeah,
grat. And we'd just be doing stupid stuff like that. And I think
yeah.
that's how we got like super comfortable so that when, you know, I'm being really scared and Jay's being really like terrifying, it was fine because we were comfortable with sort of being like dumb in front of each other because a lot of stuff you do in a horror movie can feel really dumb because it's especially because it's a film and not a play
Yeah.
where you're like telling the story like in a straight line. You have to like break it up into little pieces to do certain shots, and if you're just spending half a day like looking scared at something, you can feel like maybe a little bit insecure. But when you're working with someone that you're really comfortable with and is kind of having to do the same thing as well, like being really moody and really intense, like you kind of like you can, you know, you're in the same boat, and so it's fine.
Hmm. Hmm. Couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah.
There you go. And Josh, like you play Ben, and like Ben kind of uses the man a little bit, like to get to start writing his book, like getting thoughts for his book. Like, what do you think of like Ben's relationship with the man? Like, do you think he used them a little bit for the book, and or do you think it was something like a little more than that?
I think for me, Ben's relationship with the man works on sort of many layers. I do think he's using him at the beginning
Yeah.
for sure. But I think, you know, this is a queer story. It's, you know, it's got a gay protagonist, and his relationship with the man sort of mirrors a lot of queer relationships, particularly with gay men that put themselves in dangerous situations for sort of that sexual thrill, and also potentially growing up in an environment where, you know, you can't just ask a guy out because you might get a really negative or potentially dangerous response. And so there's always that tension. Is he, isn't he, will they, won't they, that's
Yes.
always playing. But then there's the creative side of Ben. He's a writer and he's very in his own head and very obsessed with his work. And so when he is engaging with the man, he's being inspired to create and write more, and keeps him there even though he knows he's probably putting himself at risk. He does it anyway because he's uh so obsessed with his work and his art. And I think both those things, you know, in the creation of the character was something that I really related to. That sort of be careful what you wish for. You know, how much do you really want to be a success? How much do you really want to get the hot guy? You know, and sort of the devastating consequences that come from that. You know.
Definitely, for sure. Yeah. And and Jay, what do you think like uh on the man? Like, what do you think about his relationship with Ben? Like, do you think the man thought it was more on some level, or do you think like you know because the man is like dark, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The man is very dark. I think the man wanted it to be more, but couldn't face that reality. And I think that was I think in my mind, like the internal monologue or whatever or you know, backstory I have for myself when I was playing the role, I'd come up with this idea that, you know, he'd done this many times and was like, and it was the it was the like rejection and pain of it and inability to accept who he was that was part of his, you know, I don't want to give away too much either, but part of his like, you know, obviously he had other shit going on in his
Yeah.
brain too, but I think there was desire there for sure, but he couldn't like cross that line. Um, and I think I'll just end it at that because I don't want to say too much for those who haven't seen it. But
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
And this is like a question for you both. Like, was there a scene that you both loved doing the most? Like, had the most fun with?
It's funny. The scene that I really connected to in the script was a scene that wasn't in the short, which is there's a big sort of, I guess, I want to say set piece, but not really. But there's a big scene in the middle, um, where Ben and the man sort of almost reenact like a kill scene, and I think that like it's under the guise of, oh, it's for the book, but we can like the subtext is very clear. Um, so, but that actually wasn't my favorite to film, because it was quite technical. We were working with like split diopter lenses, and so we had to be very still, or at least I did. I was in like quite an extreme close up, and had to remember a lot of continuity. And it was also really early in the shoot as well, so we hadn't quite relaxed yet. Um,
Uh,
but I think the scene, I quite liked doing the fight,
Mm.
like a lot of the action, even though as it went on, I sort of it got quite grueling, and I sort of maybe understood like, oh God, actually, like the weight of what was happening to the character, and sort of to me, I guess physically, sort of it like dawned on me a little bit. But like I liked rehearsing it and like coming up with the moves, and sort of doing a lot of action stuff was fun, I guess.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I like that, and then for the man, there was a lot of like private moments in the mirror and in the bed and not like I think just for me it's like when I'm like silent on camera there's like so I get to be more creative in a way because I can go beyond the bounds of the dialogue and so and not like I obviously loved working with other actors. I'm not like
I
like
just like being by
antisocial.
myself the whole time.
Yeah, every scene that I was in alone
Alone.
was my favorite
yeah.
scene. Um, no, I but like a lot of those ones I found to and because the shoot was so truncated, it was pretty quite dense and I felt like similar to Josh, like as time went on, like there was time to relax in those scenes and like and have a bit of creative discovery that I didn't that I wouldn't have had in a scripted scene that um, we didn't have enough time to necessarily like dig deeper into. So I like I liked um, I like those bits. The
Being by yourself.
being by myself. And then if I had to choose one with Josh, or Will, I would say,
Yeah.
I would say that scene that you mentioned in particular, the one where we reenact or act out
Mm.
the how we would kill someone. That was I just love that scene and the dialogue and the you know saying it without saying it uh, part of that, and I really enjoyed it. It was technically difficult
It
because I
was,
think
yeah.
yeah, but I did enjoy that scene a
I've
lot.
just thought of another one as well, actually, that I
Yeah.
think I liked the most. And it was when it was towards the end of the, I don't know when we did it in the shoot. It's towards the end of the film. There's a scene where I'm in bed with you, and
Mhm.
let's just say I'm wearing a lot of
Oh.
makeup, and everyone else was like really freaking out. And I was just so chill, and I couldn't really see. I was wearing contact lenses. And it was just one of the moments in the shoot where I was warm because I wasn't outside in like a little hoodie running around in the cold in January in the north of England. And
Oh,
I was I was just lying down doing nothing. It's great.
and that was very
You
funny, and
hated it.
I hated it so much,
You
but I
hated it.
also I think for like dramatic effect and for my own reaction, I didn't look at you
Yeah, I
until the
remember.
first take,
Hmm.
and you know how he looked, so it was just like that was terrifying to me. And then I was just and then we were just waiting in bed for like 2 hours, like doing takes over and over, and I'm just in there with this guy, and just imagine like having a conversation with that, like it was very very funny
And all
and a
the
lot of
crew would just
yeah.
be like, they'd be coming in and it'd be like,
Yeah.
okay. And then they'd
Yeah,
be like really awkward talking to me. It was fun.
yeah, it's very funny.
And like I love horror films that are like in isolated areas and cabins in the middle of nowhere, and it definitely has like the cabin in the woods and Evil Dead vibe, and like the whole, like, your characters and stuff, it remind me a lot of Stephen King's Misery. And so, like, did you both go back and watch like any horror films to get ready for playing the roles that you had?
I mean, I'm a big horror fan, and so I watch horror films all the time. Misery
Okay.
was a huge influence on the script. Um, and I think what was really nice is to have that location and to have it all to ourselves
Yeah.
and not have to work with anything that was fake, like everything was real pretty much.
Mhm.
That really helped, being outside in the cold, being genuinely cold, like really helped sort of get you into the emotion and the feel of it. And just having like the river there and the trees and the wind, and it was great. But no, like preparation wise, I feel like a lot of it was already in there.
Okay. Okay.
I did actually, and it was and I'm not a horror fan. I'm not like, I mean, and I not like I hate them or anything, but like growing up and like even in my adult life, I'd watch one and like get so scared that I'd be anxious to sleep for days. And
Oh,
like I
wow.
would, yeah, like I was so sensitive to them. And so I just sort of avoided them. Um
Oh.
and I think it's like particularly in movies that where it's not there's no like conclusion or safety, that I feel like it kind of drives me wild. But anyway, I did actually watch some because Alex recommended some for me, and I don't, and you guys might have to, you're gonna have to help me, but there was like an Italian director who uh
Probably
uh
Dario Argento,
yes,
potentially.
yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes, and then what's the movie? It's like a guy, it's like very similar to The Man,
Would it have
Ah,
been? I don't
and
know. I
there's,
mean,
oh, it's
like
the one
Deep Red or Opera or Suspiria or I don't know.
just
One
the
of
one where,
those.
yeah, the painting the woman gets hypnotized by the painting.
Oh gosh,
What's that called? I don't know. and
I don't
and
know.
then
Suspiria?
and
That
then Robert De Niro movie where there's like a sailboat at the
Cape
end.
Fear. Yeah.
Yes, Cape Fear was a big inspiration for me as well.
Okay. Yeah.
And that character in particular, and um, those two, the male antagonists in those films were my inspiration for me. Yeah.
Oh, wow, nice.
Mhm.
And where was it filmed at? Like, because everything looked very eerie and isolated. Like, where was the film filmed at?
So we filmed in a little town called Penrith in Cumbria, which is in the Lake District in the north of England,
Okay.
and we were on this private estate, and so we have this cabin which like would house three people, and then like a 3-4 minute walk through the woods or along the river there was this big cottage that would house I think like 10 or 11 more. And so basically the entire crew and cast stayed on site for 2 weeks, because we shot in January of 2022, and so COVID was still something that we were dealing
Oh,
with, and there were protocols that we're having to follow still. and to be able to sort of isolate in one area because there was no one else there aside from we had um, catering, so they'd come in, but they would just drop off the food and then we'd basically cook it. And so it was amazing. It was like being at like summer camp or like
Yeah, it seems
just like
like it.
a home away from home kind of vibe. It was lovely.
Winter
Nice.
camp.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
what it
Yeah.
is. And what did you both love most about doing the film? And I mean, first doing the short and now doing the film. Like, what do you guys love most about it?
I I enjoyed it was well, I got to see Jay again. You know, we don't live in the same country. And so to I would never in my wildest dreams have thought, oh, we're just gonna like hang out and see each other again,
Mhm.
like face to face in person and to make a film together. I mean, that was so wonderful. But also for me, like, my first feature film, to work with so many incredible professionals, like the crew were so good at what they were doing. Mikey Thomas, our DP, was hilarious, but just so talented and has such an incredible eye. Um, Will, who plays Jamie, is a good friend of mine. And so to have him there was really nice. And just, to get a film done, to finish it, especially after 2 years of such stop start. Oh, we were going to film there, but then we couldn't, and then we're going to do it here, and then lockdown happens and all this stuff. So to actually complete it, having been with the project since kind of 2017 when the initial
Oh,
idea sort of happened for the short,
yeah.
it was a lovely, for me personally, it was a lovely sort of full circle moment, and like real nice sort of moment of closure after so many ups and downs getting it done,
Yeah, and for me it was a huge journey too, and mine started later, obviously, but I really came to appreciate all the effort that um, Alex and Josh put into like retaining me on the project, even though they didn't have to, and not only that, but just like the relationships I made throughout that process, and um, and getting a chance to really connect with a tight knit group of people was really I can't think of anything other than like just the relationships, like building those relationships and like lasting ones. And even though we're so far apart now, most of us all over the
yeah.
world, but I could always, it was such a intense, concentrated experience that I could always, um, walk up to any of them on any set and be like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like, and it's just right back to um, that
It was a
connection. That
fun bunch. It was a
Yeah,
fun bunch,
it
wasn't it?
was. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, great people. Yeah, incredible people. And any one of them, I could just walk up to and like start right back where we were. And like that's not always the case. So it's
Yeah, exactly.
really nice. Yeah, that was
Nice.
really nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
And was there any funny or cool stories from the set that you remember? You both?
I mean, funny. Well, for me, this is me being a complete geek, but I'm a huge Scream fan. I love
Nice.
the movie
Oh,
Scream,
Nice.
and the fifth movie came out while we were shooting,
Okay.
and I wanted to see it, and it was on our day off, and because I think we had 2 days off within. It was like broken into three chunks, and we had these like 2 days off, two windows, and I wanted to see it, and I didn't want to wait, and the only place that was showing it was in like a town, like one town over.
Oh,
So
wow.
some of the boys that were like our lighting team, they were heading into town anyway, and so they drove me there. So that was great. But getting back, I spent like, in fact, it was more than this. The cab driver was really nice. I got a cab back thinking that it wouldn't cost too much, and it got to a point where it was like 30 quid. Okay, fine. 40 quid, 50 quid. And I kind of said to him, I was like, I didn't get any more cash out. And we're in the middle of nowhere. And he's like, fine, 50 quid will do. We'll start. And it was like another 10 minutes drive. It was like
Oh my
really far
God.
away. And so I probably spent about 70 quid to see Scream. And then I saw it again that night, just in the little town that we were staying in, because I didn't it wasn't showing until the evening, but I couldn't wait. So I spent a load of money to see the new Scream movie when I could have just waited and seen it in the evening. Yeah. So probably that was a dumb, stupid thing, but I enjoyed it. I loved it.
As long as you loved it, that's all that counts.
Yeah. I remember we had some late night chats in the cabin after wrapping for the day, and those were really fun, and but nothing in particular, but just a lot of fun moments.
Little
like
hangouts,
that.
yeah. And I
Little
enjoyed
hangouts.
our last night as well, because
Mhm.
obviously we filmed in January. It was really cold, and the shoot was really intense and really, like, you know, you'd get to the end of the day and you were tired, like, and you knew you had to get up the next day. And the cottage and the cabin had hot tubs, and I barely used it, but then on the last night we did, and we all got in the hot tub, just like a little group of us, and it was, you know, it was really, it was just fun. And to be out in the cold but be super warm and outside, it's just the best.
Mhm. Oh, and I really was memorable as walking from the cabin to the cottage at night, because it was like pitch black, like you couldn't see anything, and like you're shooting a horror movie all day, and then you go out at night and you're walking through it's like, and I have this headlamp on, and I don't know, something about that was so scary but so fun at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Because they had these, like, you would have to walk through the woods, and there was this path,
Mhm.
and it had these like posts with these, you can see them in the film, with these lights on, but they wouldn't last. So you'd press a button and the lights would come on, but they would turn off eventually. So if you didn't walk quick enough, like the lights would like just plunge you into darkness while you were walking through the woods.
And I didn't know about the lights until a week and a half into it. So I'd been walking just in the dark every night with this flashlight or whatever, terrified. But it was funny. Like in retrospect, it was very funny.
And what about like songs? What kind of music do you both like?
Oh,
That's a good question.
yeah.
So my two great loves in life are horror movies and pop music. And so I listen to a lot of pop music. But you know, that to one side, I love making playlists, and I have a horror playlist on my Spotify called like KAB Radio, so it's like named after the fog. And
Yes.
I have just a load of songs from like 70s, 80s, 90s horror movies and TV shows
That's awesome.
that I really love. And so I listen to that a lot because it kind of got me in the vibe of like, I'm in a horror movie, I'm making a horror movie. So, you know, and so it had stuff from like Dream Warriors. It had stuff from like The Blob. It's got stuff from, it's, you know, Don't Fear the Reaper, Blue Oyster Cult. Like that's one of my unskippable songs. I love that song so much. So yeah, a lot of that kind of like almost like 80s synthy, rocky kind of stuff. That was very much what I was listening to at the time.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
That's very cool. Yeah, I don't know any of those things, but I'm sure they're great.
You're like, who's this geek? Who's this geek that I made a film with?
I didn't know this many things about you.
I know.
I love alternative rock has been sort of my thing, like but recently going back and listening to Silverchair a lot. You know, remember Silverchair?
No, I don't know Silverchair. No,
they're an Australian band, and
okay.
they I think the lead singer had arthritis or something and couldn't keep playing, but their last album is like a gem of an album, and like nobody knows about it, and it's like a masterpiece in my mind. And so I've been listening to that a lot, and that's something that I've always enjoyed, is like up tempo, like alternative rock. Yeah, and also Amanda Sum, who's a wonderful Canadian Vancouver-based artist who I just did a music video with.
Oh,
Shameless plug.
amazing! That's
Yeah,
cool.
so but her music's incredible too, and if anyone's listening to this, after you're done listening, go listen to Amanda Sum.
I will.
And
My gosh.
listen
Course.
listen to the song that you're actually in too, right?
Yeah. Which I don't know the name of, but I should. But just listen to them all to be safe.
Yes. Just to be safe, yeah.
And what would be your go-to karaoke song if you were both doing one?
Go on, Jay. What's yours?
I would. Well, always do "Say It Ain't So" by Weezer, but
Yes.
I thought about this the other night because I went to my partner's Christmas party and they were doing karaoke, and
Okay.
and I didn't go up, but I was like, "The Space Between" by Dave Matthews Band.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
I would be good at that too. So I think I'm gonna try that next time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna do like Backstreet Boys or Britney or something like that. I'll reenact the scene from Crossroads. You know, the I Love Rock and Roll.
Yes.
I'll do that.
Yeah. And where could fans watch the movie at?
Yeah, so the Latent Image you can see on you can watch on Amazon Prime. You can I think you can purchase the DVD through there. We have a DVD which is really cool. So if you're feeling retro, like 2007, you can grab a DVD. But you can stream and rent it through Prime, but also it's streaming on Deku as well, which is
Oh,
where I
yeah.
think you can watch it in North America, and then in the UK you can get it on Prime, and it's on Sky as well, Sky Movies. So
Wow. And the last thing I will ask is where could fans follow you both at?
you're not
That's funny.
anywhere, are you?
No, I'm not anywhere. I'm pretty open about my mental health issues, and social media doesn't mix well with that for me. So I tend not to use it. If people want to get in touch with me, you're kind of out of luck. Like, call my agent. I don't know.
Yeah, you're just gonna be friends. You've just
Yeah,
got
you
to
just gotta be
audition
friends with
him.
me. Yeah.
You've got to like put out a breakdown for like a creepy guy.
Is that all I can do? I don't know. That seems to be
Absolutely
all I
not.
get cast for, though.
No, I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, you've just got to get to know Jay, and then you can get in touch. But you can find me on. I'm just so basic. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter and Letterboxd, and it's just my name at Joshua Tonks. And I'm on lots of podcasts as well, so you can listen to those: Evolution of Horror, Brain Rot. And I actually have an Erie, Indiana podcast too,
Oh, wow.
from way back during the pandemic. Which is cool because we actually got to interview. I don't know if you know that show, but it's like this 90s kids show that, it short-lived, lasted for one season in the early 90s, but it was produced and directed a lot of episodes of by Joe Dante, who did Gremlins and Piranha and The Howling. So we actually got to interview him. So he's
awesome.
on there. And one of the actors, Justin Schenkero, and the co-creator, Carl Schaefer, and Jason Marsden, who did the voice of Thackeray Binks in Hocus Pocus, and also is the voice of Max Goof, in a Goofy movie. So we got to talk to all these people, I think, because they were free. We just hit the time right. So you can listen to the Return to Erie, Indiana podcast with myself and my co-host Becky Dark. So yeah, I'm sort of everywhere in sort of horror on the internet.
It seems that way. Oh wow, that's really cool. I'm a huge horror fan too, so that's really awesome to see you doing all of that.
Yeah, no, it's fun actually. It's been, and you know what, to be honest, the Latent Image inspired it. When I moved to Canada for a little bit, I made so many I don't know. I felt uninhibited in a way that I'd maybe felt sort of coming out of acting school and all of that. And felt a bit more free to sort of get to know people. And when you're on the producer side of things and you have to audition actors and you have to sort of like maybe organize the food on the set and things like
Yeah.
that, like you kind of get a new perspective on your role as a creative. And so when I came back to the UK, I think I took a lot of that with me. And so I really sort of immersed myself as best as I can within the horror community in the UK. And it's paid off. I've got a lot of lovely friends now, which is really nice. So yeah, it's cool. And it's a great sort of community to be a part of.
Oh, it definitely is. Yes.
I guess I'll say, if you want to get in touch with me, get in touch with Josh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll hook you guys up.
Well, thank you both for taking time and coming on and talking about the movie. It was really fun chatting.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for having us.
thank
I
you.
really like
Yeah.
your show. So
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
it's
you.
great.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Rocco.
Yeah, definitely. So definitely have a great weekend and happy holidays.
You too.
yeah, happy holidays.
Thank you.
Okay.